But now when I focus on dogs, it's like we're getting to the heart of it. Like everybody wants to talk about their dog. And, it does make me like those people a lot more because it's like you're like-minded and, oh, you get it. Like you understand the depth that adding a furry family member into the mix will give you more depth. It will give you more empathy. It will give you more responsibility. It makes you kinder most of the time. It makes me more understanding about like the struggles that people might be going through.
Welcome to MythBarkers, where we make pet parenting easier by sniffing out the facts and debunking dog tales.
We have an incredible guest today who Laura and I have both had the pleasure of working with. Our guest today has been a world-renowned portrait photographer, designer, and photography educator for over 25 years. Through rescuing her two pups, Rocco and Nala, she discovered a passion for connecting with dogs and capturing their unique personalities with her camera. This inspired her to start The Ways of the Dog back in 2021, deciding to leave her corporate job and go all in on her first love of photography, but with a focus on photographing dogs and their humans. Her goal is to help you celebrate your dog and your life together, which is such a beautiful mission. Please join us in welcoming Jen Hillenga to MythBarkers. Hi, Jen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, Jen, I know that you've seen so many different iterations of families, going from traditional families now to families that incorporate dogs, cats, different dynamics, different sizes. So, tell us more about what kind of dynamics you've seen and the transition that you've seen throughout working.
I used to photograph primarily families. Before I moved to New York, I was a family photographer, a high school senior photographer, a wedding photographer. I had another business that I sold, and that's what brought me to New York, and I moved into the corporate space for a while. So my background was in photographing families with small children, etc. And then when I was in New York and leaving corporate, we'll get into all of the nitty-gritty details, but when we were working from home in COVID and I got to stay at home and work with my family, which is just my two dogs, I decided that I was going to shift into only photographing dogs and their people. So there is a bit of a difference, but in reality, it's really the same thing. It's like keeping the people or the beings close to you and capturing what matters in your life. And I have switched from that being, families with babies and children and whatever into families with dogs. If you don't have a dog, I'm not going to photograph you. So
I love it.
I turn people away all the time. They're like, will you do my wedding? Will you do my child? I'm like, unless it has a dog, it's not happening.
Wow.
Or a cat or a pet, but it's 98% dogs. But it really, the basis and the understanding behind it is the same thing. We're here to cherish your family in whatever form that is and show those moments and how you love each other. And that doesn't matter if it's a child or an animal.
I love this perspective because the amount of time that we spend with our pets, it's constant and it's every day. And what they give us is incredible. And it differs from person to person, the kind of value and the kind of love that they get. But I love this idea of being able to define who your own family is based on really who is around you and who is there for you at the end of the day.
And even with my own dogs, I grew up on a farm and we always had animals and we had farm dogs, but the two dogs that I have now, they're rescues. It's Rocco and Nala. I am a single dog mom. I never married, never had kids. This is my chosen family. And it's interesting how I lived a long time building up businesses and I had a couple of different companies, one of them shaking beneath us.
That was such a cute sound.
Different of companies, and I spent a long time building and creating a living, but I hadn't built a life. And when I moved to New York and I took a corporate 9-to-5 job, it was kind of okay, I have time now where I'm not living and breathing and eating this business. I can kind of cultivate what I want for my life. And so I adopted my first dog, Rocco, and when I did that, it was like, oh, wow, there's something beyond yourself that you're
Mm.
responsible for, but also there's something that is giving back to you. And I think it brings your life into a higher level of being to have an animal in your home with unconditional love. And that also you're like, I would die for my dog. Like the amount of money I've spent on them is insane. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like all worth it.
They are absolutely family. Yeah.
Yeah.
They deserve that life.
Yeah. I work hard so my dogs get the life they deserve. Is that how that saying goes? Yeah.
I feel like this
Yep.
saying was said and then all like everyone just started nodding.
Right.
All of
You're
like
like,
everyone's
oh
like,
yeah, that
uh-huh.
makes 100% sense. Yes,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree. So a lot has shifted in the dynamics of family as of late. So in 2025, approximately 94 million US households own at least one pet, with dogs being the most popular, followed by cats as a second.
Hmm.
Specifically, 68 million households own a dog or have a dog as a part of their family, and 49 million own a cat. So this is according to the American Pet Products Association, APPA, and this statistic of pet ownership or pets as family members continues to grow. There are now surprisingly more American households with pets than with children. According to the recent consensus data, the number of households with children has declined, while pet ownership has steadily increased. So I know there are a million reasons why this is the case, starting with economic reasons, family structure reasons, resource reasons. But I also believe that for a lot of people, this is a very conscious choice to have a dog in their family. When I had Bodhi, I was actually a student. And I was not even at the age where I should be thinking about starting a family or having kids.
Right.
Um, but as you said, Jen, like this is the first experience that I had where I was giving something to someone that's not myself. And it made me grow as a human being so quickly about, you know, what compassion means, about what it means to love something other than myself.
It gives you a lot
Um,
more empathy. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
And I also have I felt that there's a discussion of like, oh, you guys are selfish because you're choosing your dogs because they're less responsibility and you don't love people as much. This seems to be a rhetoric that I seem to hear over and over again. And in my experience, it's the opposite. Dogs actually helped me grow my own compassion for everything and everyone. Do you have any thoughts on this based on your experience with dogs, as well as what you've seen with people and dogs?
Yeah, although I will say the older I get, the more I like dogs and the less I like people. Um, if I have to people, I only want to people with dog people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, um,
You're preaching to the choir here. Yeah.
right. I mean, my experience is just a tiny bit different because because I was a portrait photographer first. I kind of burned out on so much peopling.
Mm,
Because every client that would come to me, it was the same conversations and it was a lot of small talk. And as an ADHD general, like introvert, I'm a chatty introvert. I'll talk to anybody who talks to me first. But when it's small talk, like I want to get into like the deepness of everything. And so being a portrait photographer was like, oh, are you doing anything fun this summer? Crazy weather we're having, blah, blah, blah.
mm,
But now when I focus on dogs, it's like, we're getting to the heart of it. Like everybody wants to talk about their dog and they light up when we're talking about their dog. And, it does make me like those people a lot more because it's like you're like minded and you're like, oh, you get it. Like you understand the depth that adding a furry family member into the mix will give you more depth. It will give you more empathy. It will give you more responsibility. It makes you kinder most of
mm,
the time. It makes me more understanding. And like I said, that empathy, more understanding about like the struggles that people might be going through with their animals or just in general. Like maybe this is a service dog or whatever. One of my rescues is reactive.
mm,
And so that gives me a whole different perspective on everything because you kind of mourn the life you thought you were going to have with this dog, and you learn to appreciate small victories.
Yeah.
And it gives you more empathy with what other people are going through. You know, you see somebody out on the streets with their dog and maybe they're having a hard time. And one of the trainers that we've worked with has said, your dog isn't giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And that made me a better person to everybody and everything and my dog, like all of it. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but those are my feelings.
I love that you shared that with us, and just I love that we're talking to you in general, because in this new season we really wanted to take a shift and start focusing on content creators and pet entrepreneurs, people who have gone all in on dogs. And so the fact that you are a dog mom of two who have completely changed your career in the last few years to build a successful business that's all about celebrating dogs and celebrating the relationship people have with their dogs, you know, it's like you were ahead of the curve in realizing that dogs are family and that people want to treat them and celebrate them as such. How
Right.
did you know that this was going to be so successful? Was there a pivotal moment that you were like, oh, there's such a demand here that this is not just a passion or a side project, that this was going to be your full-time
Yeah.
focus?
It's kind of a funny, weird story, and the feeling just kind of, you know how you just know when something's right? Like it just kind of
Mm.
settles in your chest and you just have this like light bulb moment, and then there's like, oh, well, duh. That was the thing the whole time. Like, yeah, that makes sense. So it was the beginning of pandemic. We were in full lockdown and everybody was working from home. My team at the corporate job, I was creative director of a corporation, and I was very focused on keeping my team productive and working and all of it. But to combat everything that was happening, I did a personal project with my dogs. And what I had done, they have their own Instagram so that nobody can tell how crazy I am about them because I have to keep it separate.
You
Um,
have to share it now so we can
oh, so
direct
it's
everyone.
Tales of Rocco and Nala, Tails, obviously. So Tales of Rocco and Nala. And you'll have to scroll quite a bit back if you go on there to see the project. But basically, it was recreating famous paintings with pets.
It's so good.
So I was a fine art minor, and my background was in fine art and graphic design before I was ever a photographer. So I took all of my favorite paintings and, you know, recreated it with my two dogs. So I have Nala as the girl with the pearl earring and the two of them as like American Gothic. And the whole thing was a creative exercise to keep me happy and creative and to keep me entertained and to do something with them, because at that point we were still like washing our groceries. Like we didn't even know, like it was in the beginning, and I did it like 4 days a week for 2 months. And the goal was the entire process of the image from start of photographing them through photoshopping the image. The whole thing was 20 minutes or less was the challenge, because I didn't want them to not like it. I didn't want to stress them out. So it was lots of treats, and they're really good about things like that. And their part of it was 5 minutes. I photographed it just with my iPhone, and then I would Photoshop it for the end result. So in this process, it was like, I think I was one of like 3 people in the world was like, I'm kind of made for COVID. Like I don't have to leave home, and I just have to like, I don't have to like go out in public. I get to hang out with my dogs. And then I was
Wow.
doing this creative project with them. And I was like, this is kind of amazing. I'm just hanging out with my dogs and being creative with my dogs. And I'm like, I kind of feel like we're all on that page right now. And I feel like this is just what I always should be doing, is just hanging out with dogs and being creative. So it was like, you know, I'm going to go back to being a creative instead of directing creative and directing other people to be creative. I'm going to go back to photography, but I'm only going to photograph dogs. And I've reached the age, I'll be 50 in January, and I've reached the age where I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do anymore. I've been through it all. I've started 3 companies.
Yep.
I've done corporate. I've worked for 1 million people. And I'm like, you know, I just want to be creative. I just want to hang out with dogs. I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. But I also knew that everybody was getting a COVID puppy. New
Yep.
York is the most dog friendly place in the universe. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a thing. This is fine. I did portrait photography for like 18 years. And so I knew that I could bring that knowledge into it. And that if people get in front of my camera and they see what I can do with their dogs, I know that sounds like really, I'm not going to say conceited. It's really confident, which I just, I am when it comes to photographing. But I just knew that if I could get people in front of my camera and I could show them photos of their dog in an elevated way of how they see their dog, that they would want to keep that forever and that it would be successful. I had no question about that. It was just a matter of getting going and getting started and showing people all of that. So that was kind of the moment of like, so just the knowledge of, oh yeah, this is the next thing. This is what I will be doing. And okay, let's get started. And so I started the company and started the business in full pandemic, February of 2021.
I love this so much.
Like, I don't even care. It's fine. We're all going to be outside. We'll do all this on location. Doesn't matter. We're plenty far apart. Everybody wants to get out of the house anyway. Everybody has this dog. The shelters were empty. And it was weirdly perfect timing.
It's meant
I'm just
to be.
imagining like the creative flow that you're achieving while with your dogs in your space. And it's just like the most incredible experience.
Yeah,
Like-
it was fun. And I had to like, everything in the photo had to be something that I already had in my house. So like there's one photo of my dog Rocco with like this fluffy collar, and it's like paper towels. Here's the recreation of the image with, the guy with the apple in front of his face.
Yeah,
And it's literally
Renee
like my
Magritte.
dog balancing an apple on his nose. Like everything had to be in the house, and it was just like this creative challenge. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this particular thing forever because that's a lot of work. But just creating beautiful, fun things with animals, it's like, oh, that's the next step. That's the thing.
And your confidence is so substantiated because your work is absolutely amazing. And
Thank
I
you.
love the line, the way we look at our dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I revere my dogs. You
Mhm.
know, I look at them in the highest light possible. So the fact that you can visually capture what's in their hearts and minds is actually really a huge part of the magic.
One of my favorite photos to take of everybody's dog, and sometimes the client understands it and sometimes they don't, is to have the dog sit there and pay attention to its person, whether the owner is like holding a treat, and it's a profile shot. And not every client loves it, but the ones who get it understand that I'm photographing your dog looking up at you, the way it looks up at you for direction or for treats or whatever. But that's what other people are seeing of your dog, the way it's looking up at you. It's one of my favorite photos to take. I try to do it on every session.
I love that so much. It's actually like making me
I
cry.
know, it's funny. I've worked with both of you. You're both going to be like, oh, okay. And both of you have lost, since we've done our sessions, you've lost pups that were involved. And so it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know, but that's so beautiful though.
And I have to be honest, like before, this is not the world that I came from, right? I've been a dog parent for 10 years. All of my pictures of my dogs before I met you were from my iPhone, right? I'm doing the best I can. And they're very intimate photos. Working with Yena, who has dedicated her career to building these most this most beautiful and polished art that she's creating with her dogs, right? I never thought I could experience that. And then the opportunity to work with you was like, oh, I didn't think this was for everyone.
Oh, that's lovely.
But like, let's
Yeah.
see. Okay. And then going through that experience, not only was the experience of bringing the dogs into the city, for background, guys, my husband Ed and I brought our 3 dogs from Connecticut into New York City, into Central Park, which was an experience in and of itself. But Jen, without having met them before, was able to capture just some of the most beautiful pictures that I just fell in love with immediately upon seeing them, put them all over my house. And then unfortunately with Penny passing, now I look at the pictures even more, like it's so much more meaningful that I have that.
Yeah.
And now I'm like an advocate for, no, everyone has to do this because it's just such an experience. And to the point of, our myth of talking about how dogs aren't just pets, they're family, elevating them to that status, making that investment and celebrating them the way that we would celebrate our human children, I think is so important and something that we need to be talking about more, because I think there is still a stigma that dogs are just pets. And unless you're a dog mom or a dog dad, you don't really get it. But
Yeah.
clearly the three of us,
Right.
we all
Clearly,
feel
we are on,
differently.
on another level. A couple of things I always tell my clients too. Like, I always look at anybody who's calling me to get professional photos of their dog. I'm like, oh, great, you're my level of dog crazy. Like,
Yes.
I get it. Like, we're on the same page. We understand each other. And then I also like to instill this validation to them. It's not crazy. Like, it's legitimate. Like, this is your family member. It's not crazy that you're thinking of doing this. And who cares if other people who don't understand it think it is? It's your life. It's your dog. It's your family. It's your home. Let's make some art of the thing that's most important to you. Like, it's not crazy. It's valid. And my other thing is, I tell people all the time, is kind of your experience. If you're anything like me, your phone is filled with pictures of your dog sleeping. Like, you have 400 pictures of your dog sleeping from 8 o'clock this morning. But when was the last time you were ever in a good photo with your dog? Like, you're always taking it, but you're never in it. So that's a big part of what I want to do too. Like, I tell people all the time, I want to celebrate your life with your dog, how you are now. And I think especially as women, we think that we can't do professional photos or anything like that until there's a perfect storm of everything falls into place. And that's just not true. Do it now. Even my entire career doing portraits, I'd get from women all the time, well, I need to color my hair, or I need to lose 10 pounds, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. None of it matters. None of it matters. What matters is capturing who you are now with that dog. And in 20 years, you're going to look back and love that moment and love how you look, because you're never going to look better later. And if you do, great, let's do it again. Like, if you get your hair colored and then you lose 50 pounds, awesome. Call me next year. Like, it doesn't matter, but do it now first.
And you never know.
We never know. We don't have them long enough. You never know what's going to happen. I want you to have this 20 years longer than you have your dog. Like, I want it to be something that reminds you of the joy that they brought to your life forever.
That's another important factor. Dogs live for such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that, like with people, like with anything, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next year. And in part of celebrating today, we also have to recognize that their lifespan is so much shorter, and the opportunities that we have to immortalize these moments is shorter. And so, if anything, we need to double down on capturing the memories and really also being grateful for the present and living in the moment. I think photography is so beautiful in that sense. I have terrible memory. So
Same.
my brain tends to just like delete, don't need it.
Mhm.
But like, this is why I take photographs. And the thing is, the photo shoot today, the preparation, what happened during that day, how it felt, the whole thing is an experience. And then the photos are just proof and a reminder.
Right.
But for me, that the one day that we had the photo shoot with Bodhi, the entire day felt like an absolute dream. It was so beautiful.
Lovely.
Yeah, and I know that I spent that with Bodhi, and it's a core memory of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a day that we just decided, let's immortalize this.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I want to do for everybody. It is, on the back end of that, it is a constant reminder for myself that every session is that for the people that are coming to me. So there's a little bit of stress, not stress, but a reminder of I can't have a bad day. Like because this is like the one time that person, sometimes I get repeat clients, but oftentimes, like, this is the experience, and this is that one time that they have prepared for, that they've chosen their outfit, they've maybe bought their dog a new collar, like, they've really thought about this, and I have to show up, and I have to be there and be present as well. Yeah, so I mean, it's important all the way around, but I do try to treat it as a big deal as much as possible. Some sessions are more stressful than others, just depending on the dog and whatever, but part of what I try to do is understand every dog and every person and meet them where they are and try to come with it in patience and come at it from owning my own dogs and owning a reactive dog and understanding that let's try to make this as pleasant as possible. I do that in the consult as well. Like when I get on the phone before we even book the session, it's like, tell me about your dog so that I can either emotionally prepare or literally physically prepare of if your dog can't handle being around distractions and in the streets of New York, maybe we do a studio session and we make that special. Maybe we find an area that doesn't have a lot of distractions. It's a quiet little street where it's not going to be out in a park with a million dogs and squirrels and all of the different things. Like, let's make this as good of an experience and as calming for both of you as possible so that it is that experience for people. That's what I'm always trying to achieve.
I love how intentional you are about that, like in the preparation, but then I'm sure there's also a lot of work on the fly as you're figuring it out. I love this quote that I think you shared on your website: dogs do speak, but only to those who know how to listen. How have you learned to read dog body language and kind of work with dogs, you've never met them, most of your clients, in advance? How do you know how to handle them in such a way that you're able to get them to be comfortable to work with you?
What's interesting is I always tell people I think it's funny that I like to think of myself as a Disney princess. In reality, my shoes smell like 300 dogs. I have the noises and the treats and all of the things. It's like, your dog likes me, I think, because I'm a Disney princess, but it's really all of those things. They like, dogs know, and they're like, oh, your shoes smell like dog. You must be okay. Like, yeah. But it comes with experience. It comes with trial and error and understanding dog body language. I did a ton of work with rescue, which I'm sure that we'll talk about, but that really helped as well. And my Nala is a huge teacher. Rocco too, but Rocco is kind of perfect and Nala is more challenging. Rocco's not totally perfect. Like, when he was a baby, he would push every button. He made 2 different dog sitters stop dog sitting. Not stop dog sitting him, stop dog sitting altogether. 2 different people. They're like, we're not doing this anymore. It's too much. Like, because he's super smart. And, like, I've trained him to say I love you for treats. And I used to, like, he would go, I love you. It's like a whole thing. I know, I'll show you guys sometime. And, he was kind of easy once he was out of adolescence, but Nala, I fostered, and Nala was a foster fail. So I spent a long time fostering, and when she came to me, it was understanding her need to decompress and then figuring out her reaction. First it was dogs and people, and then we went through a bunch of training, and then it was just dogs, and then I ended up having to do a board and train. Like, when I talk about reaction, every time she'd see a dog, it was red level, foaming at the mouth insanity. They actually pulled me down and I broke my hand in 5 places. Like, it was crazy. And so now we have worked through all of that, done a ton of training. My board and trainer was a miracle worker. Carla from Higher Standard Dogs was insane. But my point is, dealing with a reactive dog and being in rescue and understanding, you learn to know the body language. You learn to know the cues and understand things are going to happen before they happen. So it gave me more empathy for every dog. So when I talk to my clients about who their dog is, I will say, what makes them happy? Is your dog treat motivated? Do they love toys? Are they obsessed with a ball? And then I'll ask, how are they with other dogs? Do dogs stress them out? Are they excited about other dogs? Because I just need to understand what the environment is going to be. And then I will ask my clients as well, how are they with new people? Are they super excited and friendly? Will they jump up and say hello? What do I need to know? Do I need to be cautious? I have dogs all the time that I photograph that are not friendly. And the great part about that is the client on the back end of that thinking, I'm so happy I was able to do this. Because when you have a dog that's not super friendly or dog reactive, every win means so much to you. And if you get to experience life like other people get to experience life with their dogs, it's so meaningful. And I know that because I have a difficult dog. So I always try to approach each session in the way that I've communicated with my client. And so some dogs I need to ignore. Some dogs I can greet and be happy, but I know that going in. And even in that moment, sometimes things will be weird. Like the client will have told me their dog is super friendly, and I'm walking up and the ears are pinned and the dog is
Mm.
trying to not avoid eye contact. And it's like, oh, this client doesn't understand their own dog. So I have to understand their dog more than they do. So it's just, being in rescue, and then just through trial and error and experience. I've only been bitten once, and that was my fault.
Okay, so we have to talk about rescue.
Have to.
Yes, I think that's actually the reason I found you was through Korean Canine, which
Mhm.
I learned about through Yena. So this world is very, very small.
Mhm.
How are you working in rescue? What are you doing? What rescues are you supporting? And how did that even start?
So it started with my own dogs. They both come from the same rescue. My dogs are rescue pity mixes. They're actually American Staffordshire Terrier mixes, but for the rest of the world, they're pity mixes, even though they're not actually pity. But so we used to go to dog parks and things like that when he was young, but because he is a pity mix, even if he wouldn't start the trouble, we would be blamed for everything. But he loves dogs so much. But also because of his mix and knowing dog body language and all that stuff, he matches energy. He'll never start the fight, but he will end it if somebody brings the fight to him. So he weirdly understands when there are small dogs or puppies or shy dogs. He'll like roll on his back and he'll like match whatever energy that is and be super friendly. But if another dog comes at him, he'll be like, So we just ended up not able to go to dog parks because I'm like, I don't want to deal with these people that don't know their dogs. I don't want to deal with people who aren't controlling their dogs because we'll be the one blamed and I'm not here for it. So it started with Rocco loving other dogs, but me trying to like let him be social without going to a dog park scenario. Like we had dog friends and whatever. So I thought, well, let's save some lives. Let's start fostering so that I can see what it's like to have two. And in the meantime, it's kind of like a trial run for me to see what life is like with two dogs, but I'm also helping, I'm fostering, I'm helping to, move some dogs along the way. And the first couple fosters they sent me, I'm like, these are not my dogs. These dogs don't care about me. They don't care about Rocco. They're not what I need. And then they sent me a photo of Nala and said, are you willing to foster this dog? And Nala is almost the spitting image of Rocco. And I'm like, oh
Wow.
no. Like, if this dog is even remotely well behaved, she's not going anywhere. And I put her in the car and she immediately like put her head under my arm and wouldn't stop nudging. Like she just like snuggled up and was attached. And I think I'm part of the problem why she became so reactive, because she bonded so hard, so fast. And she was like, the sun rises and sets with you and nothing else matters and nobody else should talk to you and no dog or human should look at you. You're mine. I'm like, okay, this is a problem. But so I was fostering and all of that. So it started with my dogs. And then once I had decided to adopt Nala, I stopped fostering, which is the downfall of foster failing. And then I moved into doing corporate and all of these other things. So when I came back to saying I'm going to work with animals, I wanted to go back into helping rescue. So I was like, if I'm going to do this business and it's dog focused, let's make this mutually beneficial so I can give back to rescue and also alert the communities that are involved with rescue, because I was part of that dog world community and, supporting my rescue, whatever. I know those communities are tight knit. I know those communities share resources and they have chat boards where it's like, what is the best food? What's the best trainer?
Yeah.
What do you suggest as vets? So I knew that in the process of giving back to these rescues, I was also going to become ingrained in these communities. So it's a win-win. So I do a ton of fundraising for rescues. I can no longer foster because Nala isn't comfortable with other dogs, so I can't foster anymore. Plus having two is enough. But I can give back. I can do fundraising, photo booth events for all of these rescues so that like Korean Canine will have their summer party. I'm almost always there doing a photo booth so everybody can bring their dog in, get a photo of their dog. We charge a donation, but I donate my time and all the images. And so you do a small donation and the rescue gets that fee. I have done in the past a Portraits in the Park fundraiser where people donate a session fee and the rescue gets the entirety of the session fee. And then the families come and get a short mini session and then a couple of digitals. And then anything above and beyond that is sales for me, but everybody can come and get something for donating to the rescue. So there's several different things like that. The 3 rescues that I work with, Rain or Shine, Badass, Brooklyn Rescue, and Korean Canine. Any dog that is adopted through those rescues can get a gift certificate for a free session and an 8x10. So even if you can't afford above and beyond that, you can have one great photo of your dog. So there's a lot of different ways that I work within rescue to fundraise for them, but also, it's a win-win to ingrain myself in their communities.
Jen, you have an incredible creative talent, but I also think that this is also another level of genius. Just, finding a way where it's truly like a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic for all parties involved, including the families that are now like, I have rescued a dog. This is going to be my family.
Right.
And now I'm going to honor it with a family portrait. Like all of it is just like sinking together and clocking into place. I love it.
Thank you. I think what's interesting, because this is the 3rd company that I've built, I'm coming at it from a different angle and a better, more evolved, more mature angle this time around. When I was a photographer in the Midwest before I moved to New York, I kind of fell into that myth of building a business that it has to be bigger and you have to have more, and that's why I burned out. So when I had my studio in the Midwest, I had a 6,000 square foot studio, 10 employees, and a business partner. And I said if I ever started a business again, it would be the opposite of that. And so I've come back to do this, and it's like I started this with my why, the name of the business and everything. I sat down and wrote who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do first. And that's where the name came from. And the basis of that, like, you can find that mission statement on my website, but the first line of it is that our lives would be more complete if we lived in accordance with the ways of the dog. And like keeping your pack close. Part of it is start no drama, but take no shit. And,
Isn't that also Rocco's
just like the
MO?
whole idea of living in the moment and being close to your pack and that sort of thing. Like, the way a dog moves through life is the way I wanted to move through life. And I wanted to celebrate that of like, I'm living in this moment. I'm not worrying about anything. So my why for this business has changed, which gives me a different mindset on the how. So it makes me move through it with keeping an intention of what I'm creating and why. Like, that's the crux of my entire business. Like, if we could just focus on being in our lives in the ways of the dog, we'd all be happier.
True. So true.
And in the previous businesses, because I had created so much of this overhead and this huge nut to crack every month, it got to be a burnout factor, because it was like, well, if they don't spend this much money, then it wasn't worth doing that job, and this, that, and the other. Now I share a studio space. If I need to do a studio session, I'm only in the studio a couple of days a month, maybe. So I share that studio space with 5 other photographers. It's in Midtown. We split that. So it means that studio overhead is negligible at best. And I have one friend, I don't even want to call her an employee. She's a wedding photographer, so she's free mostly during the week. She comes over and helps me put together a little bit of orders and does my shipping. Things I don't want to do, things that bottleneck. But other than that, it's just me. I'm the one answering all the emails. I'm the one putting up the Instagram posts. I'm doing everything myself because I want to move away from that myth that bigger is better. I don't think that's true when you want to create a business that cares, that has a purpose and an intention. So I want to keep it small. I want to have my hands on everything. Like, sometimes I should be delegating things. And there's some tools that have helped with that, some of the AI tools and some of the automation and things like that I didn't have 12 years ago in my last business that I built. So sometimes that makes it easier, but I want to maintain having my hands on everything and having my why dictate my how.
This is alignment.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you look so happy. You're like, you don't look stressed out in that like
I would like to think I don't look 50, but
no, you look, you're like radiating with happiness. I think it's
Thank you.
because you took the time to figure out, like, instead of what makes this the biggest company, into what is the most aligned to who I am and what I want to do. Because, we have to start there, otherwise everything needs to be restarted because we won't be fulfilled.
And I think it took maturing as a human, but really as a woman as well, and understanding what boundaries are, what you care about, all of this stuff. I think that women especially, I think everybody goes through this, but I think women especially have these moments in life. For me, it's been a 10-year cycle. Every 10 years, I like hit this weird wall of finding new boundaries and what I will and won't put up with for my own life. And I had to get over myself a little bit too, because, I think every creative thinks that they're going to be a big deal. And especially if you're a photographer, like you get started and you're like, I'm going to shoot fashion and I'm going to be famous and I'm going to be an artist and all of this stuff. And now it's funny because I just had a conversation with my mom, who I don't know will ever truly understand me. I love them dearly, but they are Midwestern farm people. And my entire life was one of these things, is not like the others. But she's like, I laugh when I tell people that you're a dog photographer in New York. And I'm like, I know it seems weird, but I've never been happier. And honestly, I've never made more money. But money is not the why. But when you align with everything else, I think when you focus on what makes you content and complete, that the universe aligns to give you everything that you need to make that happen.
You're so right.
I agree with that so hard. It's like you're in my brain.
We didn't know this was going to be therapy today.
We're trying to help pet parents make their lives easier, but at the same time, we're also having a mini TED Talk on, fulfilling your own purpose. And yeah. But it totally resonates with what we're trying to do too. Like, when you have a purpose and you're so passionate about it,
right,
it's a total game changer.
I think the only time that I have been in life that I've been frustrated and burned out is when I wasn't focused on doing the thing I knew I should be doing, or when I hadn't made that decision to move in that direction. I think the only time I've been in a rut is when I've sat in an I don't know mentality. Yeah. And it's like literally every time I have made a decision and said, oh, that's the direction I'm going, the universe has laid out the path at my feet and said, oh, okay, we just were waiting on you to make a decision before we showed you the road and gave you the map. But every time I've been like, oh, yeah, I'm going that way, the universe is like, okay, let me show you how.
Yep.
And like opened it up.
And then just an image of dogs.
Right. That. And just like the universe is like, I'm going to send you 400 dogs to be with you on this path. I'm like, perfect.
They're like, got it. This is your path. So in an effort to help the listeners who are by now fascinated, their eyes are glowing with stars, and they're motivated to start capturing more memories with their dogs, do you have some tips on how they can improve these pictures? And I think that's going to be a gateway to being like, you know what, we need to take this a step further and include myself in it.
I think the most important thing to capturing a great photo of your dog or rescue dogs, like if you're fostering, we should talk about how important the image is to a foster dog. But showing the dog's personality, showing that dog happy and not stressed, all of those. So the important things to remember is angle, background, lighting. Okay. So, for instance, if you photograph a dog and the dog is sitting and the window is behind the dog, that is going to be bright light behind the dog and the face is going to go really dark. So a simple way to combat that is just turn around. Have your dog facing the window so that the light is always coming on their face. So always try to figure out, where is that light coming? An easy way to do that, it's weird, if you hold your hand up in front of your face and you spin around and you, hang on, let me see if I can, and you spin around and you watch your hand in front of you, when your hand is dark, that's in shadow. When your hand is light, that's when the light is hitting it. So if you hold that out in front of you and the light's hitting your hand, put your dog in that spot so that that light is always hitting their face. So that's an easy way for regular people to figure out, where is the light. If it's hitting your hand, then it's coming from that direction. Another thing is the background. Try to make it uncluttered. So if there's a lot of things going on, you know, the dog's on the couch and there's like dog toys and there's socks or there's a blanket or whatever, like you're going to focus on all of those other things and you want to look at the dog's face and expression. So just try to get as uncluttered as you can in the background. Just do it on, you know, a plain wood floor or in front of the door or in front of a wall, because you really want to focus on the expression, the eyes, that sort of thing. And then the biggest mistake I see a lot of people do is not getting on the dog's level. So if you're constantly standing and the dog is down below you, you get the dog like looking up and you'll get like kind of a, you know, puppy dog eyes, but like a sad expression often. So oftentimes because when the dog is stretching their head up, the mouth is going to be weird. It's not like a relaxed head pose. So crouch down, get down on the dog's level, and your head's going to come down. Their face is going to look more normal and happy. It's going to allow their mouth to maybe open and give you a dog smile, which, you know, whatever, they're just hot and stressed. That's the whole thing. But they're going to look more relaxed if you're down on their level. You can be a little bit above and then just hold something near the camera that makes them happy, whether that's a treat, whether that's a ball, something like that, so that they're like, oh my gosh, excited. But this is where the nuance of dog body language comes in. If the dog is overly excited about it, I call it treat face. Where it's just like, oh my God, there's a treat, there's a treat, there's a treat, there's a treat. That's not relaxed. So if they get too excited about those sort of things, like you want them happy, but you don't want them obsessed.
Right.
So those are some tips that can make it a little bit easier for regular people with their phone to take pictures of the dogs.
We're going to have to do some sort of like a photo challenge here. Like, submit your photos before and after Jen's tips.
I also want to have a class at some point. I need to figure out how and where and all that, but I want to do a little class that is strictly for fosters. I'm leaning into helping fosters, and almost every Friday, I'm doing a foster dog Friday on my Instagram to try to show a foster dog in a way that will get them attention, feature them to my followers.
Yes.
And if you can adopt, donate, volunteer, share this image of this dog. I'm usually leaning into dogs that are a little bit harder to place. So older dogs, pitties, black dogs, medical needs, those that need just a little bit of attention. I don't need to feature puppies. Every puppy is going to fly out of the shelter. Yep. That's fine. They don't need my help. But the dogs who maybe can't go to an adoption event because they're dog reactive, or they just don't, they're too shut down or too shy, I will go and I'll meet that dog and I'll photograph them for 10 minutes. And all of my rescues know that if they have a dog that's hard to move, they can be like, okay, what do you have? We'll send the foster to you. You know, just 10 minutes is all I need to get 10 good shots to show off that dog and their personality. So I want to do a class for fosters of how to better take pictures of your adoptable dogs with your iPhone. I just need a location. So if anybody has this location that they could host this class, let me know.
I'm going to figure it out. I'm definitely going to figure it out, because music to my ears. I have a long-term foster that's difficult to place, but also as an adoption coordinator working with fosters, the photos that we get, if they're not good, you're doing the dog such a disservice. And it's not that people aren't trying, they just don't know. So I'm so excited that you were able to share these tips, because photography makes all the difference. It's the first impression. we don't always want you to adopt a dog based on looks. We actually don't want you to adopt a dog based on looks. You want a dog that's a good match from the breed and their needs and the like a good fit for your lifestyle, and that you can be a good fit for them. But the photos are the first impression. So the
100%.
fact that
And when you see an intake photo or just off the transport where that dog is just sitting in their trauma of like abandonment and stress versus, okay, they've been in a foster home for a week or two at least, and they're like decompressed, and then I show up and I have all the fun things. Like the difference in the expression, it's like you're now showing who this dog either is or has the potential to be.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay, this can be the perfect dog, but maybe when they were in the intake photo, they looked scary, they looked shut down, all of those things. And it's not a representation of what this dog has the potential to be for you and your family and your life.
Yeah, this could be like a really life-changing aspect for all of the dogs that are up for adoption or for fostering. So I'm so happy that you got to highlight this, and we're going to make this class happen.
Yeah, I'm also working on, I've submitted a park permit request that I didn't get because they're like months out. But I want to do Foster Dog Fridays a couple of times a year where any foster in the city can come to Central Park or come to a park, bring your foster. I did it once a couple of weeks ago, where I just had like 10 people with foster dogs show up. But these sessions take me very little time. It literally is like a 5 to 10 session, it's 5 to 10 minute session. So I want to do a huge event at some point. These are the things that I say I should have help with and delegate, because I want to like do all these things, but it's like, I'm just me. But I want to have it where anybody in the city who has a foster dog, bring it to this event. I will photograph it for 5 minutes. It just all goes in one big gallery. Go find your images for your foster dog, download it. But then all of the rescues that I work with, I want them to be able to come to the event and have a small adoption event. Bring all of your adoptable dogs.
Wait, this is so
And
good.
if I had to, I have enough photographer friends that if we had a big turnout, I could get more photographers to come to photograph more foster
I'll
dogs.
come.
So
we have to do this.
right.
Oh,
So
I'm so excited.
I
You're
put in
speaking
a
it into
permit.
existence.
It didn't work out for Central Park for the fall because their permits are filled, but I
Okay.
will do Central Park at some point. I will figure it out because they were very helpful and lovely of, we don't have anything open for permits till December, but we like where your head's at. We're willing to work with you, whatever. And they're like, try Brooklyn. So it might start in Brooklyn, but I'd like to do it at least twice a year. This big multi-rescue foster adoptable event. But
Incredible.
now that I just talked about it on a podcast, now I have to do it.
I
So-
you know what? We're gonna help too, like in any way we can. So
it.
just
Yeah.
this is an accountability call.
I don't think that it's that big of a deal once you have the
No.
permit. Just showing up with a couple of photographers, and every rescue is responsible for your own table. Just
Yeah.
show up. This is the date. This is the hours. I don't think it's like a big undertaking to make it happen, but I think I would love to do it as soon as possible, because the shelters are all at critical mass right now.
Yes.
And the reasons behind of all of that is many at a plethora, but anything that we can do to help empty the shelters a little bit. Yeah. This is
It's
how I
not a
another
great
one
bar.
of your it's another one of your win-win ideas.
100%. And I do have, hopefully, I have a couple of connections in media. I would love for them to come and kind of highlight it and show people, this is how many foster dogs are out there. These are the rescues that you can go to. Like, I would like for people to be aware that these are all things. But again, it's a win-win scenario. So,
This is fantastic.
Well, this has been such an amazing conversation. Oh,
I
did you
have
wanna say
one more.
something? Yeah.
One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that my dog isn't trained well enough or my dog's not good off leash. And so I just want to let people know that your dog doesn't have to be trained and it doesn't have to be good off leash, because I just Photoshop out leashes. Every dog that you see on my Instagram is on leash, and I take that out. I would much rather have your dog be safe and
Yeah.
be comfortable and sitting in a spot than ever risk safety or anything like that. They don't even have to know sit. If your dog can just stand there and look at me, that's all I need. And eventually we're going to be talking and your dog's going to be bored enough to sit down and I'll just back up and take a picture. Like, your dog does not have to be trained to have a good photo taken.
I love that.
This is what it's like to work with a professional. Truly. That's really good to know, though, because I think that eradicates the anxiety for a lot of people that
Right.
feel like that should be the case and they
Yeah.
need to have their dog to a certain level in order to be photographed. Not the
That's
case.
the biggest misconception that I hear. And also, like, my dog can't leave the house or is crazy or whatever. Great. Let me know where you live. I'll come to you. Or, great, your dog can't be in the middle of the city. Let's come to the studio. Like, there are options for every kind of dog.
I love that. I hope it'll get some people that are listening to reconsider, you know, making the investment, because it's such I don't know how to describe it. It's a meaningful experience to go through with it, but then it's so meaningful to have the pictures afterwards
I
forever.
don't think you're ever going to regret having an amazing photo of you with your dog.
Never.
Like, you know, people might think, oh, it's too expensive, oh, this or whatever. First of all, because I have set my business in the parameters of the why is more important than the how, I don't care. I honestly, truly, truly do not care if you can get one photo or if you wallpaper your home in photo. Like, I don't care. That's not my goal. Of course, I love it when people buy everything. Like, that means that I can continue to do this and whatever. But if you can only come to me and buy one image and that's what your budget is, I don't care. But I don't ever think you're going to regret having a wonderful photo of you with your dog. Ever.
So, Jen, I am sure everyone's burning to find out how to work with you, how to get in touch with you. What is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you, and what kind of services can you offer?
So the best way to get in touch with me, first of all, check out the Instagram. It's at the Ways of the Dog. So just look at that to make sure that my style is what you're looking for. If it's not me, there's other photographers that'll match whatever style you're looking for. Find somebody who is. The important thing for me is that you do it, not that you necessarily do it with me. But if I match your style, you love what you see, go to the website. The link is in my bio on Instagram, but the website is really easy. It's just thewaysofthedog.com. You can look around. Every piece of information that you would need to know is on the website. So look around. I am very open about all of my prices. There's a frequently asked questions, and then fill out the contact form, and then we will have a phone call. I can do in-home sessions anywhere. Honestly, I'm mostly in Manhattan or Brooklyn, but I do travel. So, like, if you want to pay the fee, I will come to you. Or let's say you live in another city like Chicago or whatever, and you want me to come there, but you don't want to pay my travel fee. Great. Get 5 friends who all want to do it. I'm willing to, do the travel on my own if I have 5 clients in any location. So I do travel. I've done sessions in Amsterdam and Milan and Florida and South Carolina and Minnesota, like all over the place. I love to travel. I also have a background in commercial photography as well. So if you have a dog brand, dog food or whatever, I have a studio space. So there's no $3,000 to rent the studio for a day. I have a studio space and I can do product photography with dogs as well. And I think that that is something that brands maybe don't. I think they sleep on that. Understanding that if you have somebody who can photograph your product, but knows how to photograph your product with a dog, I think there is a huge lack of dog brand photography with somebody who can do both product photography and dog photography together and married that. So I don't think there's enough call for that. Or maybe there is and they're just not calling me. I don't know. But I do offer that service as well. So a little bit of everything. But it doesn't matter who your dog is or what their behavior is. We can figure it out.
I love the flexibility. I love the dedication. And it also seems like the universe is giving you fun and travel because you're listening to the why.
Right.
Thank you so much, Jen. Honestly,
You're so welcome.
that was, I've learned so much about dogs, you, and beyond. I feel like I've just watched one of the most inspirational TED Talks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And you are dog people that I would people with. So it's a win-win.
Well, we're gonna collab for sure. A
For
MythBarkers
sure.
Ways with the Dog collab coming soon. We'll have to work together for the rescue and foster dogs in need. So thank you, Jen, and thank you to everyone who's been tuning in today. Stay tuned for the next episode of MythBarkers.